All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm joined once again with Alpha. Alpha, my man, thank you for joining me. It's been a little bit. We haven't been able to do this for a while, so I really appreciate you coming on board and joining me. This is going to be a YouTube type update, and then let's go back to the back channel and really dive deep into this because there's some serious issues that I'm getting intel that's going on in New York City. And why is there military and National Guard showing up in New York? So without further ado, Alpha, thank you for joining me.
No, absolutely, man. It's good to be back. And yeah, there's a lot going on, man. So it's hard for us to sync up sometimes, but God's timing every single time. Listen, man, we all kind of the word that was out was, well, the military is there because, they have to anticipate some type of event that's going to unfold because of the sentencing surrounding 45. But we saw today that that got postponed. Now, here's the thing. They know that. And they knew it was going to be postponed. But these are the things that happen in the judicial process behind chambers. Just because when it's formally announced, they already know what's coming down the pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
Days. So why continue with having the military out there if you knew this wasn't going to happen? We saw what happened with Eric Adams, the people surrounding him, the connections, whether it's 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀was heard the stuff surrounding that place that, kind of indicts a lot of people in the political sphere. I'm thinking that this is more related to what's going on with Eric Adams. And I'm thinking that this has a lot to do with a couple of things. His newfound position of, hey man, I don't want these illegals over here.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what we talked about, when we're, doing our roundtables. And so I anticipate something's going to unfold. The information that I've had from my people, and this is just, from today, is that not just Eric Adams, but people close to Eric Adams in the political sphere are about to get exposed. And that, well, we've kind of anticipated that this was to present a force against MAGA, that this is actually to be against the people that are in there, the kayfabe guys from the dark side. And that's the information that I'm being told right now.
All right. Well, before we get into it, I also heard 𝗂𝗃 𝗁𝗄𝗄. There's a magnifying glass on her. So, folks, one thing though, you need to get your noble gold. Get your gold. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? Because everyone is right now. With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. There's one asset that stands the test of time, and that's gold. For centuries, gold had been the hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value, folks. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments' streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce Trump silver coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open up a qualified account today. NobleGoldInvestments.com, NobleGoldInvestments.com. Go there now, folks. Yeah, so, I'm hearing that, and I got some articles that I'm going to pull up that it's been actually a few months now that they've been deploying the National Guard into New York because of the Venezuelan gangs. And my mind goes to problem, reaction, solution. I've always been told by certain sources that they want the military, the Democrats want the military to be patrolling the streets in the blue states. They're going to be the ones that actually call them in. Now we'll get into more detail on that on the back channel, but from my understanding, they've actually been there for a few months in New York. So with that being said, is it problem, reaction, solution? Are they creating the problem, which is the Venezuelan gangs, Tren de Aragua, and then bringing in, giving them the reason to bring in, National Guard military, you know, thus creating a police type of state? What's your thoughts on that?
100% agree with you. And people don't have to look at this as, oh, this is, this is conspiracy narrative. No, it's not. Look at what unfolded in Aurora, Colorado. And when you look at what took place right there, they always do I mean, it's a real life event, but they do a smaller version of it because there's things they're trying to monitor. They want to see the way the local populace is going to react. So they want to see the way local law enforcement is going to react, local government, the way they're going to react, the way media that they control reacts, and the way media that they don't control, the way we react, alternative media, podcasting, shows like this. Aurora, Colorado got to show them how fast that this hit, the airwaves for everybody. It also showed them that these gangs, because they're sophisticated, especially when you look at Aurora, Colorado, these aren't just, people that are doing crimes of opportunity. These are people that, as we're hearing from their own government officials, were specifically bust into this area. So that shows the intent. And so now when you look at, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this is from 5 months ago. The National Guard to be deployed in New York City subway following spike in violence. So I found this from 5 months ago, Alpha.
They've been doing it for a while, man. And now we're going to start seeing the escalation of it. I mean, when you saw the stabbings, the shootings, and the robberies taking place in the subways of New York, what was, if you go back to, and it's probably even in this article, the one thing the mainstream articles all had in common was that law enforcement didn't have the ability to deal with it. They made it a point to cover that. And I think the reason is to lead into what you were saying. Well, if law enforcement can't do it, who can?
Well, why do you think they even wanted to defund the police in the first place? So it does leave it up to the military, right?
You have two things.
That's a question I'm asking.
You have the fact that they've said, hey, let's defund law enforcement, and then the fact that they've created an even bigger divide between law enforcement and the community, because the community doesn't trust law enforcement right now, and rightfully so in a lot of aspects. So that makes people receptive to, well, you need to protect us, and the answer to that's National Guard. And my speculation on why they want to do this and why we saw Aurora, Colorado is what else happened in Aurora. All of a sudden, we saw them implement a curfew.
Correct. And you're right about that, yeah.
And
what better way to do it than give them the fear of gangs?
100%. And
so we can get into this on the back channel, because I don't want to put any conspiracy theories out here, especially regarding this type of sensitive material. But let's keep it service level for now. But we'll dive deep on ninoscorner.tv. Are you good with that, Alpha?
100%. When you guys go over to ninoscorner.tv, I'll tell you exactly why they're trying to play this out the way they're playing it out.
Wow. Yeah. Let me play this for a second, Alpha.
We want to begin tonight with the rising crime rate in New York on America's largest subway system, with millions of commuters and tourists riding every day. Well, now an extraordinary new approach by the governor there to bring down crime in the Big Apple. The Democratic governor announcing a major crackdown. Hundreds of National Guard will begin tonight patrolling subway platforms and checking riders' bags. The show of force comes after.
Now, mind you, this was 5 months ago. Okay. Now I'm gonna share something else here that I find very intriguing. I'm just putting the pieces together for my audience. That's it. I just, this right here, and I'm going to be very limited on what I show on YouTube. We'll go on the back channel and show a lot more, but this right here, what does this say, Alpha?
Breaking. FBI arrests former deputy chief of staff for New York Governor Kathy Hochul for acting as an agent of the Chinese Communist government.
So it looks to me like she's in hot water, doesn't it, you?
Oh, 100%.
So this looks like it's all happening at the same time as they're pushing forward with this totalitarian type of police state, in my opinion. Then you're seeing them go after Linda Soon, a former high-ranking aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul, was arrested alongside her husband, Christopher Hu, on Tuesday morning following a federal raid on their Long Island home earlier this year.
Well, and the other thing that's interesting too is, this one's from the Gateway. So the Gateway at least put a high-ranking aide, but most of the mainstream media is saying an aide to Kathy Hochul.
Right.
I mean, Gateway called it out. She's the former deputy chief. She's the one, I've talked to some of the people that are very well versed on what each position does in these staffings. And what I've been told is that the deputy chief actually has more knowledge and is tapped into more things that the governor's doing than the chief themselves. And the reason being is they're the one that's collecting all the information, having all the influence, and then they put it in front of the chief of staff. And, so that they can make that final decision. But the deputy chief of staff is actually tapped into everything that Kathy Hochul is doing or being presented.
So that's one person removed right there, right next to her. That's her right-hand man, basically.
Right. Absolutely, man.
So here it says
about financing, policies, complaints, the stuff that they don't want to hit the media. The deputy chief of staff knows all of that. The connections. I mean, that's a person that knows all the goods and knows all the dirt.
Yeah. Here it says James O'Keefe is reporting O'Keefe Media has obtained controlled unclassified information from the U.S. Army of North Division, highlighting the growing presence of one of Venezuela's largest criminal organizations in the U.S. And we're actually saying, yes, this is true, but is this the excuse that they're using in order to bring in the military, right? Right, Alpha? The document states that Tren de Aragua has established presence in Brooklyn, Bronx, and Williamsburg, North New York, with approximately 400 TDA members living in these cities. So my question to you, Alpha, is obviously they are all about defunding the police. Is defunding the police so that they can bring in the military?
100%. And when we go to ninoscorner.tv,
Yeah,
I'll tell you
talk freely there about this. Yeah.
But the one thing, so my connections that I still have to law enforcement, the one thing that they're telling me is that they're getting a higher than normal volume of safety bulletins regarding certain cartels and gangs that are coming across our southern border into this country. Now, it's not unusual to get those safety bulletins, but as it's being reported to me, is that they're getting unusually higher numbers of those. And I think it's to facilitate the narrative of, all right, this has gone beyond the scope of what law enforcement's able to do.
Now, is this, and as we come into November, we know that we could be looking at, could this be the reason, Alpha?
This is going to be one of the reasons. So, the dark side, we'll call them.
Yeah.
They
there
know,
you go. That's a good way to, yeah.
Darth Vader's team, right?
Darth Vader and the dark side.
they know that they're on the last leg of this race. And so they have to have contingencies to contingencies. And I think this is one of the main ones that we're going to see unfold, along with some other ones that we can cover on the back channel. But this is one of the important ones, because this is one that on the surface level has the biggest impact on the populace here in America. Because this is not something that, well, okay, I think this is, the bug or something else, and we argue back and forth. This is something that has a physical presence, that it doesn't matter what your reasoning for is. The one thing nobody can argue or debunk is that they're here. And that alone, people feel like a mindset, well, if the military is here, then something has to be going on. And that's a critical thought process they need in this psychological warfare for what's going to come after that.
Right. And like many of my guests have said, Juan being one of them, and I know you've had him on as a guest as well. He's always said that the dark side will call in the military first. So I'm going to just start calling them the dark side. That's the one. That's what it is. We'll be the ones to call them in first to initiate some kind of control. So I find that very interesting. I think this is the beginning of it, because obviously they tried to do this to him. They tried to do this to him, and none of that worked. So now they're like, all right, let's just go all in. You agree with me?
I do agree with you on that one, man. And remember, the other thing that's been unfolding these last 3 years, which can be something that's very good for us, or it could be something that's very bad, but there's a lot of precedents that's being set. And if you have the National Guard come in to facilitate order, that's a precedence that could be very, very dangerous for America if it's not approached right, and if there's not specific things put into those orders that go out to the troops that, hey, here's the sunset date. So we're bringing them in, but on this date, regardless of its mission accomplished or not, we're removing the U.S. military from operating on American land. And if you don't have something like that, which we know the dark side's not going to have something like that, that all of a sudden becomes something where, you know, I mean, what else do you expect martial law to look like? That's martial
Right.
law.
But see, remember the rumors and hearsay that was swirling around, Trump being sentenced, and they were saying, "Oh, it's going to happen. He's going to get sentenced. He's going to get sentenced." Well, it turns out today, and by the way, I bid on it partially. I put out a video last night saying Trump could get sentenced today or rushed to jail today on the 6th, because I heard it from an MSM source, right? Well, now, boy, am I glad I said that. I don't have faith in it. I did not validate it. I covered my ass. But that didn't happen. But what did happen today, okay, was judge delays Trump's sentencing in hush money case until after election. Actually, all the rumors that were swirling around about the military is going to be there for his arrest or him going to jail is not. Now we know that's not why they're there. So this opens up a can of worms even larger. Correct, Alpha?
Or was it? Here's what I got to remind the audience. One, we take a lot of bottles being thrown at us when we say, hey, this is what sources and information are telling us, and the information says that on the 6th that Trump may be arrested. But you got to remember, the good guys are playing this information war too.
Yeah.
And if the dark side has an operational plan that needs to unfold, and the good guys get this information to enough of us content creators or citizen journalists to get ahead of that, it forces them to have to adjust their plan. So they very well could have had the intentions to do this and did in a 12-hour about face to say we can't do this because they've gone ahead of it, and we're going to feed into this what they're saying. Let's make this adjustment. Let's go into this contingency, and that's what the timeline that exists in front of us right now is fluid.
Right.
I mean, we talk about 5D chess, but do people really understand what that looks like? You have both sides that are trying to force the other side to make moves that allow them to facilitate the plan they want, which means this is constantly an evolving plan. This is
right. It's move and counter move. It's like boxing. I mean, it's move and counter move.
100%. And one of the most important parts of this 5D chess is the spectator. And who's the spectator? Well, it's the audience. It's the audience that's watching this show. They have the artificial intelligence and the algorithms that are monitoring everybody's reactions to see how things are going to unfold. So I won't say that you were wrong, because enough people got that information. So that means somebody put it out there. And there was
right. Well, I got it from a MSM. I got it from friends and from an MSM source. Let's just say I'll say one of the biggest networks, that he's a very well-known person who told my friends this, that then relayed the information to me, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there just to put it out there, but I covered my ass and said not validated. This is hearsay. But still, I know now never to trust an MSM source.
Here's the thing too, though, Nino. If you can just look at mainstream media just in the last year, if we go back to September of 2023, and like I was saying with the headlines, like what we're bringing up with the subway and law enforcement's inability, you had very consistent headlines, you had very consistent articles. Right now, you're starting to see an inconsistency in mainstream.
Oh, yeah.
And so what that tells me is the good guys are disrupting what's going on with mainstream. So
and let's not forget, Trump has been doing one hit after another on the podcasting, on long form podcasting, going on the Sean Ryan show, on different shows, all except Joe Rogan, by the way. But he's going on all the shows because he knows this is where it's going. This is because I'm under the belief, and I really believe this is going to happen, that MSM is part of the old system that's going to come down.
It is. And when you look at the Sean Ryan show, that one's interesting, man. You had Trump on there. You had Cash that was on there. Before Cash, you had, oh my God, his name evades me right now. But if you look, it's a lot of people that
Yeah.
people think have a lot to do with this. You know, we can talk about what that is on the back channel because, you know, YouTube don't like that one very much.
No, I know. It just sucks that we still have to live. We're still in this blurred paradigm of like what we can say, what we can't say. And that's how I've been able to stay alive on here. Everyone asks me, "How do you do it?" I don't understand. Why do you do it? I'm like, because I play this game, because I have to play charades and make up words, and just like you do. But I mean, that's why I stay alive on here. And God, hopefully I can stay alive, especially now in this final stretch. I have to be real careful. So, you mind?
YouTube and these other platforms, man, you got to approach it like Mayweather.
Yeah, it's stressful. You got to box real good, real clean.
And
Yeah,
then
bro.
then when you get over to the private platforms and our own platforms, well, then you can come out swinging like Tyson. But on these other ones, you got to play like Mayweather, or we lose the audience, and the audience has to at least know, hey, here's what's there. If you want more, then this is where you got to go and find it.
Correct. And it's just, you just have to play that game for now. I don't think we'll have to play this forever. I don't think in about 6 to 8 months from now, I think things are going to be a lot different. They can get crazier for the next 4 or 5 months, but I think when we get on the other side of this,
Look what just happened in the last 72 hours with Tenet Media. That are, the allegations are that Tenet Media is being funded. Here we go again with Russia.
Wow.
And so,
really,
yes, man, that's actually not even 72 hours. I think it's been 48 hours. They completely annihilated her channel.
We shouldn't even be talking about this on here.
Yeah, you know what?
Probably not. Blow her. Yeah, editor, take that out. But let's go back to the back. Let's go where we could be safe. Let's go to Nino'sCorner.tv and cover this more thoroughly and really expand on what you and I believe is happening here, because I think this is going in a direction that's I have no doubt these next 2 to 8 months are going to be absolutely ballistic, and I'm sure you agree with me, right? We can at least leave our YouTube audience with that.
100%. The stand by with the next 60 days.
Yeah, it's gonna get crazy, folks. I tell everyone to prepare. I think this is the time now. I think I'm hungry. I don't know about you, Alpha, but like the next, definitely by October, I'm not going to be really taking any flights anywhere. I'm going to be driving to anywhere I have to go. I'm going to be hunkering down.
I'm not leaving my hometown until middle of November. I can't risk being away from my family during these next 60 days, man. It's too risky.
But even in November, you're going to move? You're going to go?
Well, I that's where I have my next scheduled one. Middle of November, I have something where I'm scheduled to go to the East Coast. But I mean, that's also, to be determined, because,
right?
because we're gonna see what happens on November.
What's happening in New York right now? I mean, it seems to me like they're already putting their players in place, their pieces in place, their chess pieces in place for something big to happen in New York. That's where I want to go with this on Nino'sCorner.tv. I think the Venezuelan gang thing is a excuse for now, so they can start deploying them in there. But I think something bigger is going to happen in New York. Let's talk about that on Nino'sCorner.tv. Do you want to? Because I been talking to Juan about this and a few others, and I think I know where this is going. So do you want to join me on .tv right now?
Yeah, as soon as we go to Nino's, I'll tell you guys exactly what I think is going to unfold and how it's going to unfold.
Cool. All right, folks. We'll see you at Nino'sCorner.tv.